Hey there, thanks for joining me for this week's quick tip. You know, the other day I was thinking when I was going through my notes about the tips that we do every week and stuff that I want to go over this week, in the future, and making sure that I'm jotting down all my notes and looking at tips, looking up things about tips, and trying stuff myself. And one that I thought of the other day that I've used many times in the past and was taught to me long ago was cooking with starches, and a tip I wanted to go over with you quickly today. So, you know, there's many different forms of cooking. Baking, grilling, cooking on the stove, frying. There's all kinds of different chefs, all kinds of different entrees and desserts and apps, all kinds of food you can be making. And there's a different procedure and a different way to do it and a different recipe to follow everything you make, right? Even if you're making it up, you're still doing something. You're following some method. There is a method to whatever madness you're involved in at that moment. You know, when you're baking, for example, you take all the ingredients and you put them in a bowl and you mix it up and you pour it in and you put it in the oven and bake it for a set amount of time. For the most part, kind of lumped it up, how you handle some baking. And when you're grilling, you put things on the grill, you flip them over back and forth, left and right, and then they're done. Well, you know, when you're cooking on the stove and you're adding ingredients, for example, if you're making a stew or a soup, you add a bit of this and a bit of that. First add this, then add that. If you listen and watch a lot of my videos, I say that the order of operation is important for when you add the ingredients. And have you ever noticed when you read a recipe, a lot of times they say salt and pepper to taste. Add some salt, add some pepper to taste, meaning taste it, and if it tastes the way you want it to, that's the right amount. Kind of open-ended, you know. But it's important because you should be tasting as you're cooking, and especially when you're cooking on the stove and when you're cooking, again, a soup or a stew, you want to be careful not to overseason. You want to be careful not to oversalt. But what happens when you do? Huh? What if you're making soup and you add too much salt? And you do try it and it's horribly salty and you just can't eat it. Well, you just got to throw it away and start over. No, absolutely not. Don't do that. You can salvage it. Does it work 100% of the time? No, it does not. It's not a cure-all. It's not guaranteed. But it does work. It works more often than not. You just have to be tricky in how you do it. Starch can save you. Starch can reduce salt. Potatoes, rice, pasta, all the starch, it absorbs. These are sponges. If you have something like a soup or a stew and you've oversalted, you could take some potato, raw potato, chop it up and throw it in. Throw it in your soup. Let it simmer, let it boil for a while, 10, 15 extra minutes. And then voila, no more salt. No, that's not exactly how it works. What it will do, the raw potato will soak up the liquid in whatever it is that you're cooking. A soup, it will soak up the broth, it will soak up the water, it will soak up all that salty liquid. And it'll take it and it'll cook in it. So what you do to maybe bring down the level of salt and still keep a fantastic flavor that you're looking for, throw in some raw potato in a soup or a stew, or some rice, or even some pasta. I highly recommend the potato because of their absorption ability and just, well, frankly, the size. Chop it up into some big pieces and drop it in. Let it cook in there for a while. Let it soak up some of that salty liquid and then remove them. Take them out. And then try your soup again. And I'm betting the salty flavor will have gone down because you will have taken out some of that liquid. So you take out some of that salty liquid and then replace it with some regular. So remove some of the salty water and replace it with a little bit of fresh water, bring it back up to a boil, and you will have saved whatever it is that you're making. It's that simple, and it's that quick of a tip. Starch saves. Throw in some rice, chop up a potato, drop in some pasta. Let it soak up some of that salty liquid that you're cooking in, remove them, and then replace it with some fresh liquid. You just saved yourself from having to redo a whole batch of something that you were excited about making. Huh? Was that not cool, quick, and easy? I love it. I love stuff like that. And I have tried this. It does work. A chef taught me this over 20 years ago, working in a Polynesian restaurant, and we were making soup. And it was horribly salty. He threw in some raw potato, even though this was a soup that had nothing to do with potatoes. Let it soak, pulled them out, added some fresh water, brought it back up to a boil, and saved the flavor. Real stuff. It works. Try it. It works. It's fun to try this kind of stuff. Experiment. Have a good time with it. I hope you all are having a great week. I look forward to seeing you soon. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. Make sure your notifications are turned on. Give the video a thumbs up and share it with everyone you know. And I'll see you all soon. Take care. Bye-bye.